This is a Midwest Minute with Matt. Simple concussion conversations that just make sense. Before we get started, just a quick note. This podcast is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not medical advice and does not replace the evaluation or treatment from a qualified healthcare provider. Listening to this podcast does not establish a provider-patient relationship. Every brain injury is unique, and what we discuss may not directly apply to your situation. If you are experiencing symptoms or have concerns, please seek care from a licensed medical professional. If this is an emergency, call 911 or your local emergency services immediately. Hello and welcome to a Midwest Minute with Matt, simple concussion conversations that just make sense. My name is Matt Campbell and I am the host of our podcast. Today is episode number 8, titled, Why Do I Feel Guilty? One of the hardest emotional parts of concussion recovery is feeling guilty for something that you didn't choose. Feeling guilty for canceling plans, for struggling with work or school, for needing to rest or lay down, for not feeling like yourself. Guilty because people can't see what you're dealing with. Over time, that guilt quietly becomes one of the hardest parts of concussion recovery. Today, we're going to talk about why concussion recovery creates so much guilt and why understanding that matters much more than most people will realize. So, why do concussions cause so much guilt? It has to do with the theme that concussions are an invisible injury. People can't see it. When they look at somebody who's navigating through their own concussion recovery, they look fine. Symptoms will go up and down. They don't fully understand what you're dealing with. They don't get why today you were able to hang out and have a good time, but tomorrow you're in bed and not answering phone calls. They don't understand how you can go to work all day, but then when it comes time to be a spouse, you can't do it again. That's challenging for people on the outside because they can't see what's actually happening to you. When they can't see it, it's hard for people to understand. And when you constantly have to explain how you're feeling, it's very hard for people to not feel guilty with canceling plans. It just becomes easier to say, hey, we're not going to be there today. I'm not going to make it. I'm sorry, but I can't do that. Than it is to actually explain why over and over again. Invisible injuries will often create internal pressure. It's because the people that are experiencing the concussion are putting that extra form of stress or that extra pressure on themselves to quote unquote be normal or appear to be normal. They end up pushing themselves too hard. Too many people will try to prove to those around them and to themselves that they're okay, that they don't need the extra help, they don't need the extra time, and that can come with multiple reasons. Most people will try to push too hard. And a lot of that has to come with the idea that they are trying to prove to others that they're okay. They're also trying to prove to themselves that, hey, I'm okay. It's all in my head. I can do this. I can be myself again. They get tired of dealing with the symptoms that they're dealing with. They get tired of navigating through modifications and not living their lives like they used to. And it causes that internal struggle of, I'm just not going to do this anymore. I'm going to be normal. I'm going to do everything like I would normally do. And when that happens, that creates the internal pressure of continuing to appear normal. When you continue to appear normal or try to do things like you would normally do, it causes increase in symptoms. When we increase symptoms, we generally pull back, and that will lead to the feelings of us disappointing other people. Not being able to be around people, not being able to do the plans or hang out with people like we want to, causes us to disappoint people. And the more we disappoint people, the harder it is to handle that internal pressure of feeling like I'm letting somebody down or disappointing them. And that leads to me continuing to try to appear normal. I want to continue to push to do different things. I compare myself to what I used to be able to do. Now, after a concussion, we'll be able to get back to our normal selves. For the most part, yes, most people do get back to their normal selves. But comparing yourself during your brain injury recovery to how you used to be is detrimental to your concussion recovery. You'll try to do things like normal, and doing things like normal will cause you to increase our symptoms and need to cancel more. That internal need to continue to call off plans because we're not doing well or we're struggling with symptom increases will continue to make us feel like we're letting people down or we're disappointing people. We ignore symptoms that we're dealing with because we don't want the people around us to judge us. It's hard because I am looking at how I'm feeling, going, you know what, I really don't feel good, but I know if I ask for help or if I cancel plans again, the people are going to judge me because how can I not go to work today, but yesterday I could go out to my son's t-ball game? or I could hang out and go to ice cream with my family. Why could I do that yesterday, but today I can't do anything? And that need to prove that we're feeling normal or trying to appear normal to ourselves or to others will lead to symptom increases and wanting us to avoid being judged by other people. Pushing too hard will often lead to crashes, setbacks. And if we continue to push through a setback, it will become a complete roadblock. Our concussion recovery will get halted in our tracks because mind over matter is great. But when the mind is what's the matter, we can't continue to push through things. That will lead to physical, mental, and emotional exhaustion. And the more we deal with that, the more we continue to try to push through things, the more the identity shift will happen. And nobody prepares you for that identity shift that can happen during concussion recovery. It will temporarily affect independence, productivity, confidence, your day-to-day routine. It even puts strain on relationships. And when we have all of those identity changes that are happening, whether it's for a short term or permanently, things will change. It is very difficult to not feel guilty. If I have a relationship with my spouse and we're both doing things in our roles in our normal relationship after a brain injury, those relationships may change. Those roles may change in the household or the relationship. We may need to lean on our spouse or our friends to do a little bit more to pick up a little bit more of the slack. When I'm going to work or going to school, we may feel like we're letting our team down because we're falling behind. The quality of our work is going down. And when we feel like we're letting people down, we get guilty. And when we get guilty, that causes that increase in stress, and that increase in stress delays our recovery time. Sometimes the hardest part of our concussion recovery is grieving the version of yourself that you were before you got injured. How effortless everything was before the injury. And that grieving of that pre-injury person you used to be will make us feel guilty because we feel like we're letting people down. That feeling guilty will lead to the isolation. The isolation leads to delayed recovery, and it's a snowball that rolls downhill very quickly if we're not careful. So when guilt slows down our recovery, increase in that stress, increase in the central nervous system activation or irritation, that will lead to us getting more symptomatic. When we get more symptomatic, that slows recovery down because we go back into that isolation. We don't do as much as normal. We don't go through the routines that we're normally supposed to. Concussion recovery is a fine line between doing too much and not doing enough. The more we spend on the side of doing too much, the more we want to retreat back to the side of not doing enough. And it's really hard to balance that concussion recovery when we're feeling guilty for not being around all the time, for needing those accommodations, for taking that time off, for avoiding certain things. We feel guilty. When we feel guilty, it makes us fearful that, hey, this is forever. We'll never get back to where we were. That leads to that continued physical, mental, and emotional exhaustion. When all of those things are happening, our sleep gets disrupted. We avoid the activities that we were normally doing that were helping. We struggle with our pacing, and we remove the consistency in our day-to-day routines that we have built to help us get to this point in our concussion recovery. Human nature is if something's continuing to fail, I want to change it. I want to make sure that we're avoiding things that are making us feel guilty, even if those things are helping our concussion recovery. I avoid speaking up for myself and setting those limitations with friends and family because I need those limitations. We stop doing it because we feel guilty asking for that help. When we feel guilty asking for help and guilty for using the accommodations that we have set in place, it will slow our concussion recovery. So what do we do instead? How do we avoid feeling guilty? It is perfectly okay to feel guilty during your concussion recovery. You will improve and you will continue to improve over time. Stop measuring your worth through your productivity, what you're able to do at work or what you're able to do around the house. Stop measuring who you are as a person by what you offer and can do during brain injury recovery. Brain injury recovery is a 24/7 job. Anything else you do during your 24/7 job should be considered luxury. Right now, your primary focus should be to heal. And if I have somebody who's going through that healing process and they're doing anything else, we need to celebrate the fact that not only Did they focus on healing their brain injury? They were able to work half days. They went to school all day, 3 days this week. They were able to attend the graduation ceremony or the baseball game. They were able to do those things. Stop measuring your worth through the productivity that you're doing and start measuring it on who you are as a human being. Communication needs to openly flow during concussion recovery. We can't assume that the people around us know how we feel. We have to express how we feel. Openly communicating with those people that we've put into our concussion support system and those people that we trust is key to not feeling guilty during your concussion recovery. Don't take shame in needing pacing. Make sure that you're understanding that pacing is part of the recovery process. You're not being lazy. You're setting yourself up for success in your brain injury recovery. The biggest thing that we can do to not feel guilty during concussion recovery is that we need to allow the people around us to help. Accepting help isn't the easiest thing in the world. But when I have a diminished capacity for any activity at all or a diminished cognitive capacity, I need to be able to allow the people around me to help and support me throughout my recovery. Again, it's not necessarily a life-threatening injury, but it is a life-altering injury, and we need to make changes during our concussion recovery. Focusing on consistency instead of perfection can help you see the steps forward. Making sure that we're not punishing ourselves because we didn't do everything perfectly every single day. Every step, whether it's forward, backwards, or sideways, is a step in the right direction during concussion recovery. Healing is hard enough without constantly fighting yourself emotionally as well as physically. You're not weak because recovery changed the capacity that you have. You're not lazy because your brain needs more regulation right now. And you're not failing because recovery feels emotional. Sometimes the most important part of recovery is learning how to stop treating yourself like the enemy and start supporting yourself the way that you need. If this episode helps something click, share it with somebody who needs it. And if you're looking for guidance, support, or clarity during your concussion recovery, you can learn more at mwconcussion.com. If you'd like to be a guest on the podcast or you have a topic that you want covered, feel free to shoot me a DM on all of our social medias at MWConcussion, and I would love to chat and love to have you.